Welcome, everyone. I'm here to share with you the four-step framework to build a resilient gut and a healthier you. So I want to say welcome. I'm glad you could take this time to hear this information. I can't tell you how important gut work is. To me, it is the single most fascinating topic we have going in health right now. It was such a missing piece from our health story for many, many years. And now that we have researchers working fast and furiously trying to find out as much as they can about this amazing area, we're starting to get the information that we need that's going to help us. And so, what I want to talk to you today about is to share some of that information and to really stress how important this information is for your long-term health, your well-being, and to help you with probably some symptoms you have right now that are driving you crazy. So that's what we're going to talk about. If you have a health condition, a serious health condition, the information I am providing is to help your body respond better to whatever treatment or protocol you're going through. There's nothing in what I'm saying that's going to make it difficult to follow along with another practitioner or anything like that. But it's more about giving you some power and giving you some ability to make some choices that are right for you and your body. And it all centers around food. So that's the good news. And this isn't about restriction. This is about increasing the amount of food that we have in our diet in order to get better results. But we'll get to that in a second. Now, just a little check in here. You're in the right place if you want better overall health and not just better digestion. So, when we talk about gut health, we're not just talking about digestion, or not even talking just about intestinal health or anything like that. This is affecting every aspect of our being. Therefore, when we feed our gut and look after our gut, we are looking after our entire body. Maybe you have a situation where you feel like your gut isn't working the way it should. You're dealing with maybe bloating or food sensitivities or inconsistent energy, anything like that. These all fall into the category of where the gut may have gone astray. You want a simple and realistic approach, not another extreme diet. And this program that I'm going to talk about is probably the furthest thing from a restrictive diet you can get, and totally returns all the power of how you eat, when you eat, and what you eat to you. And of course, it's also for people who want to feel confident and comfortable in their own body again. So if that's you, then you're in the right place. Now, this may not be for you if you're looking for a quick fix or a cleanse. This is not what this is about. And don't get me wrong, every now and again, you will take a step in some way, in some fashion, and you'll notice a difference. That's great. But for long-term restoration of how you function, especially when it comes to gut health and to how it relates to the rest of the body, it's going to take some time. But if you're in the power position, if you're the one who knows what to do and what to eat, then it makes that wait for how much you can accomplish that much easier. So don't be worried if things don't turn around instantly. That's not the nature of this method. It's about whether or not you're feeding the microbes that you have and therefore allowing them to gain strength, function better, and then you function better. It also might not be for you if you want a restrictive plan that cuts out a long list of foods. And I'm not saying that facetiously. I know that there are people who like just being told what to do and they don't want to have to think about it or anything like that. And that's fine. And most people can follow a restrictive diet for a period of time. But if that restrictive diet doesn't work, number one, they often get worse. And number two, most people can't stick with the restrictive diet for a long term. So that's not the answer for your overall well-being, the long-term health of your body and your gut. And of course, this may not be for you if you prefer tracking calories, macros, or following rigid protocols. Again, I know people who prefer that, and that's their choice. They are missing out on some of the key information about what the gut would like and what the microbes want to eat. But if this is not about me or and what I think is best. This is about you and what you think is best for you. And of course, if you're not interested in learning why your gut affects your whole health, then you may not want to sit through this either. Although what I'm giving you today is just a teeny tiny snapshot of the whole microbiome story. So my promise to you is I will give you real practical information that you can begin using today. You can start right now. Nothing here is extreme, restrictive, or based in fear. Have you ever noticed how much fear mongering there is out there about different foods and things like that? We're not going to do that. And everything is grounded in research, food science, and lived experience. And no, it's not just my lived experience, it's the lived experience of numerous clients and colleagues who I've been working with for the last 20 plus years. So, in return, though, I ask that you stay open to information that may challenge what you've been told. Much of what we believe about gut health is outdated or simply wrong. So, we need to correct that. And these are just some tips for watching this webinar. Find a quiet spot and give yourself this time. You want to close any extra tabs you have open on your computer. Have a pen ready in case, there are some aha moments for you to come to a realization about maybe what's happening with you. And you want to treat this time as something for your health, not just learning. You're giving yourself a treat. You work hard, and I want you to treat yourself to this time of focused information. So during this webinar, we're going to discuss the 3 biggest mistakes that make gut issues worse. So why your gut affects your energy, mood, hormones, inflammation, and overall health. We're going to talk about how to build gut resilience with a gentle, realistic 4-step method. And the approach is going to help you feel better without restriction. So that's what we're here to talk about today. All right, and when I talk about the program and the method, there are some bonuses that you will be getting. The first is a 7-day healthy gut challenge. This is for something new to try if you want to, and it's all explained as to why you might when you receive the bonus. There's a microbial food synergy for everyday life. So this is a book that's going to guide you through, call it the textbook if you like, the program. Even though you have step-by-step instructions in the program, you don't need to read this. You have this as a resource for yourself ongoing. You're also going to get the basics of gut health. So this again is just more for you to have depth of knowledge and just, I didn't want to put too much into the educational material in the different sessions because I want you to do them and I want it to be simple and easy, but there's also lots of information that you might find interesting. So some of it has gone into these documents. There's also a 21-day recipe guide. So 21 days of recipes. And you even have get a handout that tells you how it fits in with the method, what layers these recipes are feeding. And it's not in the ebook, but it comes in the session with the ebook. And basically, this is just to give you ideas. It's not for you to follow. It's not a menu plan. You could, there is, 3 weeks of menus laid out for you in this ebook, but you don't have to follow them in any way, shape, or form. They're just for ideas. And finally, and this is a really good one, it's called Stimulating the Vagus Nerve for Optimal Health. And the reason it's so important to put this in here is if we're going to be talking about gut, we're going to be talking about gut brain. And if we're talking about gut brain, we're talking about the vagus nerve. And not only that, the vagus nerve also helps other areas of the body as well. So this communication between the gut and the brain isn't the only communication system going on. Your gut communicates with many areas throughout the body, as does the brain, and the vagus nerve is often the interim player. The vagus nerve can also have direct effect on how your gut is functioning right now. And so what this provides is a lot of background information and tips, exercises, and things you can do for your vagus nerve. So those are all part of the bonuses that are for this program. So I'm Lorraine Sorrow. I'm a certified functional nutrition practitioner. I'm also known as a holistic nutritionist. I consider myself a gut health educator. I was a baker for many years, I had my own bakery, wholesale cake bakery. I'm also a cat mom, a parental unit. Um, I have lots of things that I would consider myself. But my main reason for being right now is I'm a functional nutritionist and have been for 25 plus years. I stopped counting after 25, just saying. Someone, that's who I am, who has lived through a lot and come out the other side with hope and well-being. So my health story is not easy, but it's real and it's very similar to many other people's. And it's kind of the foundation of how I ended up being involved in this industry. In terms of my journey, I didn't start out knowing any of the stuff that I'm about to tell you. I learned the hard way as I went through. I suffered from endometriosis, early arthritis, osteoarthritis, gut issues, not major originally, but then about with cancer, did a little damage to my colon, and then I've had to deal with that issue as well. And but I'm here. I'm happy I'm here. And, everything I went through, even though it was tough, taught me a lot. And always I kept coming back to the gut. What could the gut have done for me in any of these circumstances? And in many cases, I have the answers for all of these conditions, but that's not what this program is about either. So, this is how I learn what truly supports health, and in particular, what supports the gut. I did try every diet. I did remove foods. I did all the healthy things people were supposed to do, yet I was still feeling unwell. And it wasn't until I understood the gut as an ecosystem that everything shifted. And once you see it as an ecosystem living within you, all of a sudden you're going to give it different priorities. But most importantly, my journey taught me one thing. Your gut is central to your entire health. When it works better, everything works better. That includes digestion, immunity, inflammation, sleep, mood, hormones, energy, resilience as you age. I think everyone wants that. And this is why I created the gut balance method. It's so that we can get better performance from our microbes and help us in all these different areas. This isn't just about having an intestinal issue. Gut health is much more significant than that, and you cannot separate any symptoms you have from the gut. Now, I wouldn't have the knowledge I have today without having the health issues I had. Like many people, you don't pursue what you don't think you need. And so when you get ill, you now need to know things you don't know. So that's how I ended up being in this profession. And it has empowered me and allowed me to empower my colleagues and my clients. I am filled with gratitude that I know how to find good information that will be helpful to the people who need it. I am a big research reader. I ask the questions. I look for answers. I don't take anyone's word for anything. I don't just follow along the status quo. I want to know why something happens, and I want to know it as best I can know it. I do accept the fact that you can't know everything, and I accept the fact that we still have lots of things that we don't have answers for when it comes to health and how we function, but at least I know to ask the questions. And also, most importantly, I wouldn't have any answers for myself or others, and I wouldn't have any ability to help myself. I wouldn't be able to share what I've learned with my clients and my colleagues, and that's what I'm trying to do today. All right, so this is a fabulous image. If we were going to take a nice little snapshot about a typical gut versus a healthy gut, we might see a representation like this. If you look at on the left and all the little green little things shooting up there, think about those as individual microbes. And you can see how hard they struggle to survive. You can see that the overall environment they're in is not ideal, and therefore there's not that many of them. But when you look on the right, look at all those plants, look at how they're growing, look how they're thriving. This is what a good ecosystem in the gut should look like. Tons and tons and tons and tons of microbes all working together, all growing together, and doing their functions together. They are a community, and we can't ignore that. Unfortunately, most of us, because of how we've eaten, how we sleep, the stress we're under, Many other factors, we probably have a gut that looks like this. But what we want to do is eat the foods and take the strategies that I'm going to provide for you here and turn it into a lush ecosystem that functions at a very high level so that we can feel our very best, live well, prevent disease as best we can, and, be resilient so that we age and feel good for a long, long time. All right, so what are the three biggest mistakes that are keeping people stuck? So this is what I've come across is that, people know a lot of things now. They're really quite smart. And the question then becomes, why don't they make the changes they probably know they need to do? Why aren't they seeking answers? Why? What is that? So let's talk about what happens. So the first mistake that people make is thinking that the problem is the food. And again, we've had lots of help in thinking this. We didn't originate this thought. We've had medical people telling this for us for years. We've had influencers. We've had, whoever wants to talk about what they think is the right thing to do for the diet. We've been hearing this for years and years and years. And the problem is, if food's easy to blame, who's going to defend it? So people think the food is the problem. You remove the food, you stop the problem. We have a mindset like that. So most people assume it's the food bothering them, or that they can't digest whatever the food is anymore. That's just the reality, right? Or they think they need to avoid certain foods forever. But it's rarely the food itself. And that's the first takeaway you should have from this presentation. It's not the food. It's the microbes, the dose, timing, and combination of foods. So you've got all these microbes there. They're looking for a meal. The food is their meal. What foods are they looking for? Are they getting them? Are there enough of them to digest the foods? There's all these things going on, but it's not the food. So why does this happen? So your gut microbes decide what you tolerate, what you digest or how you digest, and whether a food feels good or not. And when they aren't fed consistently with the foods they're looking for, then even healthy foods can feel wrong. So think about that. You could be eating this perfect whole foods diet, but it just doesn't have enough food variety to feed enough microbes to have a really robust, resilient ecosystem in your gut. Then what happens when we think it's the food? We restrict. That's the first thing people do is stop eating it. We lose food variety as a result, and our microbial diversity shrinks. So now we don't have enough microbes to function at our best. Symptoms, of course, are going to increase. We become more sensitive, and we become afraid of food. And there's nothing worse than that. I've worked with a lot of people who have a number of food sensitivities, and it's a nightmare for them every time they go out to eat. They never know when something's going to trigger something, and they're going to have symptoms that are quite uncomfortable for them to have to live with for several days. Restriction creates a fragile gut, not a resilient one. Now, when we stop making this mistake, food tolerance improves, digestion becomes more predictable. Think about that, just going out and eating as you see fit. Meals feel easier, microbes regain their strength, food fear decreases, and confidence grows as to having the knowledge of what we should or shouldn't eat as an individual. It's all going to be very, very individualized. And you can enjoy more foods as a result of all this, not fewer. This is just one response to the method. I expected another complicated program, but this one was the opposite. It was simple, grounded, and actually enjoyable. The best part is I didn't have to cut out foods. I learned how to work with them in a way that feels good for me. And I feel more empowered in my health than I have in years. And that's from Rachel. Mistake number 2, why extreme diets backfire. So your microbes need fiber, polyphenols, prebiotics, diversity. This is just the tip of the iceberg. They're learning more and more all the time about what we need for our microbes. But when we remove these, and they're not getting the food, so fiber, polyphenols, prebiotics, those are all foods And again, they're saying a lot about polyphenols now. There'll be other food chemicals that they'll find out are very valuable as well. We're just in polyphenol world right now. But when they are removed, your microbes are going to shrink. And a smaller microbial community means you're going to have a more reactive gut. So you're going to react to more things. You're even going to be more affected by stress. You're going to have it affect your sleep more. Like all of this is going to be, and then the sleep is going to affect the gut more. All of this has a way of mushrooming out into a much bigger problem. And there's something about the restriction cycle. Basically, it's removing foods. And then what happens is usually people feel briefly, very briefly, they feel better. And they think, okay, I found the cause. What really is happening is the microbes are starving. And so all you did was remove something that your body would react to because you didn't have enough of the microbes. They were starving. There's not enough of them to completely digest the food properly. You may have other species who produce things like hydrogen sulfide, which causes more gas and bloating because you don't have enough of the beneficial microbes to keep the ones that produce the hydrogen sulfide in low numbers so they don't cause any problems. So when you remove the food, you do feel better because you temporarily solved that problem, but you didn't correct the bigger problem, which means you're always going to be at risk every time you eat one of those foods. Of course, that means you're going to become more sensitive and you're going to remove even more foods, and the gut becomes even more fragile. Your health declines. And it all starts because you started restricting foods when that may have not been the best idea. This is why diets don't work long term, because they're too restrictive. I don't care if it's a weight loss diet, it's too restrictive, right? Just think about that. So when we stop this cycle, you're going to start to rebuild resilience. You digest food better, you enjoy your meals again, your health improves in multiple areas, not just digestion or intestinal health. This is from Emily. I used to feel lost when it came to understanding my gut. Everywhere I turned, there was conflicting advice. The gut balance method helped me understand what the why behind everything, why layering matters, why diversity matters, why restriction wasn't helping me. I now feel calmer, more confident, and more aware of what supports my gut day to day. Now, mistake number 3, focusing only on food and ignoring the other gut regulators. So all those symptoms that you might experience, especially after you eat, might not be solely the responsibility of the effect of the food, right? So we just talked about how if you don't have enough microbes, you won't digest the food properly, you might have symptoms as a result. That's true too. But there's other reasons why you might not have enough microbes other than the fact that you didn't feed them. So your gut listens to everything you do, not just what you eat. So these are the gut regulators. And your gut is going to respond to sleep. So if you don't get enough of it, that's bad. If you get the right amount and a good quality, it helps your gut microbes thrive. Stress. Stress literally decreases your beneficial bacteria, causing your less than beneficial or harmful or whatever way you want to describe the other bacteria to have the upper hand. And this is not good for symptoms either. Not good for digestion. It's not good for energy. It's not good for sleep. It's not good for many other things. Stress is probably one of the biggest factors people have and to why they feel poorly. Emotions. Your microbes talk directly to your emotional system in your brain. And your emotions are often a reflection of what's going on in your gut. So even how we feel emotionally is going to be playing a role as to how we respond physically. Movement. So movement has been studied to be beneficial across the board for every health situation you can think of, but this includes how healthy your microbiome is as well. And it doesn't have to be excessive amounts of exercise. It has to be just movement. Just get up, do stuff. Think about how much more you could move. And when you're tired and you're stressed out, I know you don't feel like it, But how hard is it just to get up and maybe just walk around the room a bit? Anything, movement. It's very beneficial for the entire gastrointestinal system and, of course, your overall health and well-being. How well did you chew? In the gut balance method, we start with chewing because if you don't chew right, you're not even starting the process of how your body receives food properly. So you have to start the process of receiving the food into the body properly, and it starts with chewing. The food order, like how and when do you eat? How often? How much time is between eating? Your microbes need some time to take care of the food that you just gave it. Hydration. Water is extremely important for the gastrointestinal function, and you want to make sure you're well hydrated. But there's different ways besides drinking water. There's foods with lots of juice in them. Those that counts as water. There's teas. There's different ways to make sure you're well hydrated. There's the state of your nervous system, which again ties right into stress. But you can feel agitated even when you're not stressed because your nervous system isn't functioning as ideally as it could. It's not getting enough nutrients. It's not getting the right messaging from the brain. It's not getting the right messaging from the gut. All of this can be helped with good gut work. Meal timing. So when do you eat your meals? Okay, so you need a certain amount of time before you go to bed where you're not eating so that your microbes have finished with the food and your body can do with the food what it wants to do with the food as part of a heal and repair time we often experience while we sleep. These factors matter as much as the meal itself. So you can't get away from any of these. This is why in the program, you've got a bunch of simple suggestions, always trying to keep it simple to help you in these areas as well. Your gut needs a pause between meals. Just like soil needs time to absorb water, your gut needs time for motility to move food along. So you have to think about how when you're eating, it goes into the mouth, but then it works its way all the way through the GI tract into the colon, and sometime the following day you will excrete the waste material that you created the day before. And so motility is this motion of moving the food through muscle contractions all through the GI tract so that nothing gets stuck and it decreases bloat. It makes you feel better. Of course, you feel like you digested your food. And so you want to think about how much food your body has to deal with in order to take care of this so that you get the benefits from the good motility and everything that's supposed to happen along the way. Breaks between meals help your microbes stay balanced and supported, and this simple rhythm makes digestion smoother and more comfortable. So why does this matter? You can eat perfectly but still feel uncomfortable if your stress is high, your sleep is poor, your nervous system is dysregulated, your body isn't ready to digest. And gut health is not just about food, it's about how your body receives food. So when this mistake stops, you begin supporting your gut in a way that makes digestion easier, calmer, and this is the big one, more predictable, because that's what bothers most people. They don't like the unpredictability of not knowing how they're going to react. And of course, we're doing all of this with this method without adding any extra work. Because if you have to spend hours in the kitchen in order to make certain foods, in order to digest them well, that's not going to work for you. So the method has to fit the lifestyle, and that's what we have here. Jennifer said, what surprised me the most was how much this program helped me understand my body. It connected so many dots, not just about food, but about stress, emotions, sleep, and daily habits. I feel like I finally have a framework that makes sense for my overall health. So let's introduce this. It's the gut balance method, and it is a 4-step framework. And it's basically a gentle, realistic way to improve digestive, intestinal, and overall health, reduce bloating, support immunity, calm inflammation, improve energy and mood, and strengthen your gut's resilience. It's going to also expand your food tolerance, which can be, and there's a method for doing this, especially if you have food sensitivities. You don't just go rushing in there, but it's going to expand your food tolerance so you are less sensitive should you be having issues. And without restriction, overwhelm, or fear, that's how we're doing this. Step one is understand what your gut really needs. Your gut is an ecosystem, not a machine. It needs consistency, food diversity, gentle progression, and that includes adding new foods gently, the right combinations, so making sure you're getting foods from the different layers, supportive daily habits, and this alone creates major shifts, even though you might be making small changes. It's going to add up and create major shifts. What most don't get about the gut, well, your microbes control 70 to 90% of your immune activity. I know they don't, you would think by now they could be more specific. I've heard every number 65, 75, 80, 85. It doesn't really matter, it's a lot. They regulate every inch of gut motility. The difference between normal digestion and bloating is due to your microbes. They create metabolites, and this is the important part that is going to give us the most useful information from a health condition perspective. So metabolites can do many things, but one of the things they can do is turn pain signals on and off, which means a lot of what you're feeling in terms of discomfort is because of microbes. They generate compounds. Again, we call them metabolites that influence mood, energy, sleep, inflammation, and hormones. They can build or block tolerance to foods. So they can be your best friend or not so much. And more importantly, they only work when they are fed and they shut down when they are not. And so that's the biggest crime, if you want to call it that, that's been committed on poor food, is convincing people that certain foods should be avoided for no particular reason. Because if the microbes that use the food aren't strong enough, even the best foods are not going to help and may even backfire. So I want you to think about that when people tell you they can't handle certain healthy foods. And you might think it's random or weird, that it might be kale or it could be apricots or something like that. But the truth of the matter is, it's the microbes for those foods that are not plentiful enough to digest that food well. And what we are looking at when we talk about all of this is that we want to increase how we layer the foods in, how we microdose to increase food tolerance, how we do polyphenol pairing, and we want to build the tolerance. And again, this is all organized so that you're just picking from different categories and you've got so many foods to choose from. There's no restriction here. There's no missing out on anything. You just have to be aware of what foods belong in what section. Plus, you have a checklist so that you can easily check off all the foods in the different layers or categories, if you want to call them that, and see where you fit. And therefore, you know how many you are eating in a given area. And you also know what areas you should focus on if you see you're not getting enough from other areas. It's that simple. Microbes operate as teams, not individuals. Each food feeds specific families. The gut gets stronger through small, repeated exposure and not restriction. And the right food combinations change whether a food feels good or hard to digest. So, in other words, if you combine the right foods, it can make a difference as to how a food is making you feel. So you could have had a food that's hard to digest. Now you put it in the right combinations with the other players. And again, when we say this is not food combining, this is talking about putting categories together because they work together. And again, it's not that specific and it's not that hard to follow. It's very, very flexible. But the point is that when the foods are combined in ways that support multiple areas in the microbiome, your food feels good. And when you don't, it's going to be harder to digest. Your microbes respond in hours, not weeks. That being said, it does take time for permanent improvement. So the fact that you're already starting to eat or feed a specific microbe because you took a teeny tiny dose, that's great. But it will take much longer for you to be eating regular portion sizes and not really be thinking too much about what you're eating or not eating because you now, are in a really good space and you're going to gradually see the improvement that you're seeking. Step 2 is assess what's keeping you stuck. Most people fall into one or two or more categories. Generally, they're underfed microbes or they have an over-restrictive diet. Also, there's a lot of clean eating with not enough diversity. A lot of people stressing, simple meals, 5 ingredients. No, you want multiple ingredients in a meal because how often are you going to be eating? Okay, so you want to make the most of what you're eating. This is why it's great. This method doesn't require certain portion sizes, or you would have to eat too much food to get diversity. With this method, you can eat as little as a teaspoon, and you're feeding some of the microbes as a result. So, we also want to look at high stress, suppressing digestion or overstimulating of acid. So stress can make digestion slow, or it can overstimulate your stomach acid, which gives you more heartburn and things like that. It can slow motility, or it can increase motility. Depends on you, what you're going through, what your body's reacting to. A lack of routine. The microbes like routine. Funny how that is. We might find routine boring, but the microbes don't. Poor sleep. If you have poor sleep, you're going to have unhappy microbes. Low physical movement. Like I said, just stand up, walk around. You don't have to do anything excessive. Don't make exercising or movement so much that you need a lot of energy to go and do it. It's one of the reasons I don't belong to a gym. I'd have to go to the gym, and I don't usually have the energy to go to the gym. However, I have no problem opening up my front door and walking. I have no problem with that. Okay, I'll just go for a walk. That's pretty straightforward. And then look at the emotional load. You're going to notice digestion is probably worse, or how you feel from what you ate doesn't feel as good. When you have an emotional issue that you're going through and you've got a lot on your mind that's weighing you down, this can affect how you're physically functioning a lot, including your microbiome. Knowing your pattern is going to change everything. Step 3, feed your microbes the right way. So this includes food layering, which I keep mentioning. And it also requires flavor layering, which is the fun part. So this is really cool in that a lot of the flavors in the food belong to categories that represent the food layers. So the more variety in the diet, the more you can use flavor to build more complex meals in order to feed more microbes. Microdosing. So microdosing is the secret to how you introduce foods back into the diet, especially anybody who's been on a lot of restrictive diets. They can't just go diving into a whole pile of really good foods for the gut. Their microbes might not tolerate it. They might not be ready for it. So microdosing is a really good method to slowly introduce things, and this can work for food sensitivities, not IgE allergies. I want to stress that, but food sensitivities for sure, to help them maybe get their foods back. Polyphenol pairing, so putting foods that have polyphenols in with other foods like ferments or fat or things like that get you more results for your polyphenols because of the way the fat and the polyphenol, or the fat ferment and the polyphenol, interact with the microbes in the gut. Fiber diversity. There's many different types of fiber. So you can't just have one fiber supplement and think you're doing well by the microbes. You're not. It wants a number of different types. And of course, easy digestive combinations. So when you put the food layering together, they assist in the digestion of the other foods. You see this a lot with fermented foods. And this is how you build resilience meal by meal. Step 4, build daily gut habits that actually stick. You don't need perfection, you just need consistency. Take 6 months for something new to become a habit. So just keep that number in mind. This is why you want to keep the steps simple and easy so it's easy to stick with them. Small daily practices are going to support digestive and intestinal function, mood, sleep, hormones, microbial balance, inflammation, energy, and the right habits create the right environment for healing. So if you're working on trying to get better from a health condition, you want to set up the microbiome this way So it is an assistant in helping you recover from whatever you're trying to recover from. And this is where the magic happens. When people use this method, they report less bloating, improved comfort, better energy, calmer mood, more predictable digestive and intestinal function. They also get better sleep, fewer reactions, more food freedom, stronger sense of well-being. And gut resilience is whole body resilience. Why this method works when others don't? Well, it feeds your microbes instead of starving them. It rebuilds tolerance instead of removing foods. It strengthens your gut ecosystem meal by meal. It supports the gut-brain immune connection. And these are all things we aspire to. And it works with your real life and not against it. If you want different results, you need a different method. And so this is why this would be the plan for you. It has the flexibility you need, and it has the variety you need, and the information that will help you understand how the body works. Most approaches tell you to cut things out. This method teaches you how to add what your gut actually needs. That's why it feels doable, supportive, and sustainable. So who is this program perfect for? Well, it's for you if you're ready to feel calmer and more comfortable in your body, reduce bloating and sensitivity without restriction, build food confidence, support energy, mood, and overall health, create a predictable, resilient gut, and finally understand what your gut responds to. Just think about how well you're going to know your own microbes and what they like and what they don't like. Whether you want to feel better or simply stay well, this method fits both. So imagine 8 sessions from now. Meals feel easier, digestion feels calmer and more predictable. You know how to layer foods without overthinking. You feel more confident and connected to your body. You're eating with more freedom and less fear. And you finally understand what your gut needs and how to support it. This is what happens when you feed your microbes the right way. You don't need perfection. You need a method. A clear, gentle structure, simple steps, real support, and a way of eating that strengthens your gut instead of stressing it out. This is precisely what the gut balance method gives you. Now, you might be wondering, can this work for me even if I've tried everything? The answer is yes, because you haven't tried feeding your gut the way your microbes actually need. You're going to be listening to your microbes now. So, introducing the Gut Balance Method program, and this is a guided, supportive, self-paced program. Individual coaching is available for those who want it. So you've got 2 options there as well, but first and foremost is getting this foundation program and learning how to feed the microbes the way they want. So this is going to help you build a resilient gut, improve overall health, create food confidence, support daily well-being, and of course, enjoy food again. It will also help you feel good in your body. So what is inside the gut balance method? Number 1, in session 1, we're introducing you to gut health so you can understand how microbes connect to every body system. Session 2, we're looking at food layering and microbial synergy. Foods combine, and this is going to support your microbial cooperation. They talk to each other. They're looking for different foods to support different microbes so those microbes can work together. Number 3, you're going to learn microdosing for microbes, so retrain tolerance with small, consistent signals. Number 4 is, of course, menu planning, so how you create balanced meals that fit your life and taste. And what's really nice about working with the 6 layers is if you put the 6 layers in your meal, you have a balanced meal. It's that simple. And you don't have to have a perfectly balanced meal. You could put 3 layers in if you like, but the point is just seeing the food in terms of layers means it's so easy to balance out the meals. Number 5 is stress, cortisol, and gut health. That's what we talk about in session 5, so that you can calm the gut-brain connection and lower inflammation. Session 6 is going to be about sleep in the gut and resetting the circadian rhythm to support repair. Remember, you repair while you sleep. Number 7 is exercise and gut health, which will improve diversity and metabolism through movement. And finally, in session 8, we talk about mindset and maintenance. So maintaining long-term microbial balance and flexibility, looking at it from an emotional perspective too, not just looking at everything physically. Plus, there's recipe guides, food layering checklists, microdosing tracker, weekly action steps. So you get to do different steps every week, or it could be bi-weekly. It doesn't have to be weekly. It can be bi-weekly. It could be even monthly if you want to take that long. You work away at these different steps as you see fit until you are ready to move on to the next one. There's a private Facebook group where you can post and ask questions, and there are gentle gut habit templates. So these are just things for you to look at and read and get ideas for things you might implement into your own life. There are also some printable planners to help you plan out, for example, your menu. You have that in session 4 when you're doing the menu planner. There's a little planner you can print out and write in if you want your choices. So what are people saying? Well, Sarah says this is the first time a gut approach actually made sense to me and I finally understand what my body needs. Lindsay says, I love that this method isn't restrictive. It helped me feel more confident and relaxed around food again. Amanda says, the layering and microdosing helped me enjoy meals without feeling anxious about trying new foods. I can't even imagine that. That is such a scary thing that you don't know how you're going to react when you eat. Number 4, I feel so much more connected to my gut and aware of what supports it. It's been a total mindset shift. That's from Nicole. And Joanne, what I appreciate most is how gentle and doable everything is. No pressure, no guilt, just practical guidance. And as I said, you're getting these bonuses, the 7-day Healthy Gut Challenge, microbial synergy for everyday life, the Healthy Gut Understanding the Basics of Gut Health, the Healthy Gut Recipe Guide, and of course, the Stimulating of the Vagus Nerve for Optimal Health ebook. So you're getting all of those bonuses, plus there's going to be another special bonus on supplements, not because we're recommending supplements in this program, but it's to help you understand where they fit. So that's going to be a special bonus webinar that you can access when you sign up. All right, so what are we talking about here? All right, so we've got a special price today, just $297 or 2 easy payments of $167, and that's for the 8 sessions, self-paced, all the frameworks step by step for easier microbiome focus and eating, and of course the community Facebook group for motivation and support. Or you can have one coaching session and with me where it's $497 or 3 easy payments of $187. So you're going to get everything you get in option 1, plus the 1-hour private consultation and 4 weeks of email support to keep you on track. Or if you want, you can have the intensive, which will have 4 private sessions. So you get everything in option 1, plus the 4 private one-on-one sessions to personalize your plan, a customized food and lifestyle strategy for you, and priority email support between sessions. So that's what I have available for you. There's a 7-day money-back guarantee. So if you change your mind after purchase within 7 days, you can get a full refund. And here's how you can sign up. So you've got this link if you want to type all that out, or you can scan this QR code, or you'll find a link in the offer box or in the description center, depending on where you are watching this recording. So it's either in an offer box or it's in the description box below the video. So take a look, join us. It'll be the best decision you ever made for you and for your gut.